morning. It's 10 a.m., around 10 a.m. in Texas. I want to talk to you about something very important today. It's called PPE. I want to talk about it because I've got kind of this consideration personally right now, and I need to figure out what to do about it. I applied for a job in a manufacturing facility. It would have required a period of training in order for me to then be put into the appropriate position. And I applied for one job, and then after the interview, they told me they thought I was qualified for another job. So I was doing the training I needed to do for that job. And in the course of that, I was told I was required to get steel toed boots. Completely sensible, right? And they had an option. The option was that the company would give a voucher to pay for a certain amount, and then they would put you into a paycheck deduction program where a certain amount, up to a certain amount per paycheck, would be deducted until the rest was paid off. It sounded sensible to me. It's almost like one of those situations where you talk about mutual agreements, right? Where you're like, okay, if this is a good faith effort on behalf of the employer, I'm definitely applying in good faith. I'm looking for a long term investment. This is the kind of sector I want to get into. Hopefully, if I do well in the training, I do well on the job, the benefits they've talked about, the kind of setup they got look good. The materials they gave me as part of the orientation were excellent. As a matter of fact, I was relieved because in years of seeking a job, they actually gave me training materials, orientation materials, explication of benefits that were sensible, that were legal, and didn't even have one typo. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what I was hoping for, right? All the other considerations, including, honestly, the actual wage rate involved, especially in consideration of the other very comprehensive benefits package they were offering to me, were the kind of thing I was like, this is something we can work with. Once I get involved, once I start working, once I demonstrate my competence, they're going to see what I'm capable of doing. I'm going to learn more about the entity, the enterprise. We're going to be able to move forward. Well, all this other stuff's going on concurrently, right? I had to get a background check, had to get a drug test. I don't have a problem with that, right? And in the course of that, because of my special skills, that right now are not the kind of things anybody acknowledges on a job description, I had a little bit of an understanding of processes that were going on concurrently. And I also know that if you do the specific kind of background check you would need to do for the kind of sector I want to work with, you already know that I've got a bunch of human capital already logged into a bunch of different networks. That could be an advantage, especially if I agree to sign an agreement with your company saying that I'll respect your trade secrets and that I will commit to a long-term arrangement exclusively with your company to provide certain services. Right? This is an important consideration. Not only is it a consideration I have to take into account, but it's a consideration of whoever allows me on site as an official employee has to take into account. This is where we get to what it means to talk about labor rights, workers' rights, and the safety of a worker, as well as the safety of a manager. Because honestly, who doesn't want to be in a position where they have an ownership stake in what they produce? Are we so digressed and regressed in this country that people that are capable of doing a good job in any job that requires or participates in production of an actual commodity doesn't want to actually be able to reap the benefits of any profits? I'm not that kind of person. I'm going to let you know. I know on another level how much I'm worth. See, if you wanted me to be a consultant for your company because you've got some problems, my rate is $450 every 15 minutes. I've made this public. And I said, even in the employment process, I have my own situation going in. If it's a conflict of interest like this, I pre-disclose that I'm interested in this certain thing that might be, compatible or might be connected to your industry. And I will be forthright with you, and I will discuss that with you. If anything comes up, please feel free to do with me. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I had to get these steel-toed boots. And the only reason I say unfortunately is because when I went into the place where they had a line, they sent me to a specific section. I understood, okay, maybe this is the section that I've gone to. I bought a pair of boots. I'm going to show you what these boots look like. Look at these boots. Now, they had another pair of boots that looked more female. These are actually technically men's boots. but they fit me just fine. Are the women's boots more comfortable for a woman's foot? They are. Are they more cost effective? On one matter, perhaps. But there's another kind of value that goes into something like footwear, especially in consideration of what is a personal protective equipment. And so, after the situation involving the salesperson in consideration, I said to myself, I would rather invest in a boot that costs a little more and is going to require me to pay a little more over a protracted period of time than to take the reduced price boot when, even though it gives me a sense of comfort up front, I also know that these are going to be about long term use, which requires some wear and tear on the boot to conform to my foot. And then it's also going to be something I'm hoping to make a very long term investment in. So I made a decision. I left. Okay, things come up. I'm dealing with those matters concerning what happened on the job. I was not able to follow through. Now, technically, this has happened to me several times. I worked just long enough to make enough money to pay for the boots. Right? But then the question becomes, well, am I going to get credit for the subsidy or the voucher that they offered to provide? Which then means they would be paying for $50 instead of the entire cost of the boot coming out of my salary. One. Two, I was told at the time I bought them, if I had the receipt, or even if I went back, I could turn these back in up to 6 months, as long as there were no there was no apparent damage to the boot. I had up to 6 months. That was the warranty. I go back 3 days. I go back less than a week after buying them. I've worn them 3 days. I'm not going to give you the forensic evidence. There was a woman literally there in line who looks just like me, except maybe 20 years younger. She's literally there in the line checking out as I enter the door. I speak to the other person, the person who actually rang me out. Not this person who's ringing her out was not there that day. I did see both of their profiles on the way to the store. Let's just put it that way. They wait for her to check out. She leaves. I don't want to interfere with her purchase. I go up there. And then he pulls the boot out and he says, oh, I'm sorry, there's too much wear and tear on this. We can't accept it. I'm not going to show you the pod. There's no wear and tear on there. There's dust from the floor. Maybe I should have taken a rag and wiped it off. There's not one evidence of tear. As a matter of fact, the little ridges in the actual molding of each individual piece on the bottom of the foot are still there. That's how little, there's no wear and tear on there. But the implication is you're 20 years younger than her. I mean, you're 20 years older than her. You're worn out, woman. We're not taking you back. Here's the best part. On another wall that I went to immediately, first pair of boots I see, has the same brand name as a guidance system for not only civilian, but also military aircraft that has been used as part of my rebranding since I was in high school. Now it is a steel-toed boot that is almost half as much as this one. I wasn't shown that one at the time. But what they wanted was for me to exchange this one for that one and eat the loss. Here's the thing. That other steel-toed boot should never have been priced at the point it was. It should never have been in that store. Perhaps that young woman that was there before me should never have been in that store either.